Hi there, I'm Linda Hammond on Sparking Discovery, and this is Talk to Us Live. This particular show is where I usually spend time sharing the views and news of others in our industry with you, our viewers. But this evening, I have chosen to share the story of my life as an entrepreneur with you. So let's get into it. There is so little and so much happening at the moment. It makes me feel a bit like I'm on the set of Stranger Things. So many companies that have been around for years have dissolved, leaving so many people wondering what to do. Find a job, begin a startup, collaborate with a group, be part of the gig economy. It's endless. The pandemic has become an inflection point for many, not excluding myself. I'd like to share my historical inflection point with you, in the hope that if you're stuck, it may spur you into one direction or another. It's not a Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jack Ma narrative, but that's just it. There are really only about 30 such stories, and they've been told a million times, and in some ways, their success is a bridge too far for many, me included. We constantly feel that we're failing because we're not instantly reaching the heights they've reached. Yet, we are all able of living a remarkable life with some direction and a huge amount of freedom, which is sometimes sublime and others requires a Herculean effort from you and those close to you to just stay afloat. I'll start my story in 1990 when I was overlooked for a promotion. I felt the promotion was due to gender bias, as it was a man who, in my opinion, wasn't worthy of the promotion or as capable as I. I went to the bathroom after the announcement to let off steam or sulk, whichever you prefer, probably sulk. And there a colleague of mine was doing exactly that. We had a huge bitch and resigned the next day. We went into business together, and just like that, some of the best times of my young life and the course for my future life was established. We were decidedly proud of our new venture until our very first day. I can clearly recall we had 3 prospective clients to go and see. And on our way to the first, we received a pager. Yes, this was before mobiles. And yes, again, there was life before mobiles. We were informed that our meeting was cancelled. Feeling a bit deflated, we went to a mall and had coffee and cake at 10 in the morning. All the time watching over our shoulders in case we encountered our boss. That was such a weird feeling. While we were shopping to see if there was something or anything we could afford, our second appointment was cancelled, and shortly thereafter our third. We went home and had a complete panic attack and malfunction. I had just acquired a new car and I'd bought a property with a friend. The financial impact of no work was just too frightening to consider. It did make me wonder what had come over me and why I'd resigned in the first place. It's obvious to me now. I had a distinct purpose. I wasn't going to work relentlessly, yet feel so completely out of control with regards to the direction of my life was going. I was also not comfortable that the only path to progress I could see was by receiving acknowledgement and further learning opportunities from what could be considered the hand of a mainly male-dominated society and most certainly workplace. I decided I'd take my chances and be in control of my own destiny, as scary as that might be. And let me tell you, it was. And so that then, the beginning of my story in a nutshell. You'll notice I haven't spoken about what I did, which, by the way, was an enterprise resource planning business consultant, implementing and ultimately providing software to many verticals needing, in those days, computerization of their business processes. What I did wasn't what drove my every waking moment or purpose. My purpose was to live a life true to who I am, with the freedom to do things that helped others and made me feel alive. I realized that what I did would change, and it has in many ways over the years. But I also realized that my beliefs and values would stay constant, a bit like the Southern Cross, and they have. I did and still want to live my life without waiting to be recognized by another to determine my life's path, or in fact its worth. And that is true in the context of every part of my life, not just in the interest of earning a living. I'd worked out that you should never pursue entrepreneurship for the greed of money. The whole reason you seek to be an entrepreneur is in the pursuit of freedom, to be who you are, to be with you, who you want to be with you, and to do what comes naturally to you, which if it's serving people, then so be it. This may be a good time to segue into what was happening in the world in the 1990s regarding women in business. Margaret Thatcher, despite being the longest serving British Prime Minister and the first woman to hold office, period, was unceremoniously dumped and evicted from office in the 1990s. And following on from that, there was a definite mood of, we told you so. A woman's place is at home. It's proven. They're not cut out for the workplace. And yes, that's an indignant tone in my voice you're hearing. I so often hear people talking about women role models. In those days, there weren't many of those in business, at any rate, to model in the 1990s. And if there were, they weren't that accessible. Only a few lucky people had access. But Maggie was in my eyes a bright star that I looked up to. I was pretty much left to figure out my own way forward, often bungling and rubbing people up the wrong way. You know, the whole, where does she get the audacity thing? I pretty much had my work cut out for me. When I think back, that is what it took, audacity. Audaciousness was most definitely a badge I wore all the time. It was much needed, especially in the IT space, and probably what got me through my first 5 years of running a successful business. My business partner and I worked tirelessly. We also had the most amount of fun you could imagine. We felt alive. We were making and leaving our mark, competing with the best, and playing hard when we weren't working. It was an amazing time for me. The company grew exponentially over a 6-year period, after which, sadly, we split up and went separate ways. The divorce was not one of the greatest moments, but life went on. Lessons were learned, and after a total of 8 years, I sold the company in 1998 to the first Black-empowered IT-listed entity. Made some good money, decided at 38, perhaps it might be a good time to start a family. In 1998, my son was born, and 4 years later, my daughter. This, however, is not the end of my story, but it is the end of that chapter in my story. I started a new company in 2000, and it is still in existence today. And chapter 2 will unfold next week. The inspiration for telling my story comes from a Kevin O'Leary video. He told an interesting story in his video, the link which is below, and is entitled the same as my show. A salary is the drug they give you to forget your dreams. The part around 11:20 into the talk made me sit up. It resonated with me and at the same time affirmed my beliefs and the actions that I've taken to date. He talks about the fact that experience is very important. It in fact distills into intuition. He reckons that he listens to his gut when he makes decisions. He also mentions that it's taken him 30 years to get there. It comes from experience that can't be bought or taught. I can so identify with this. I realize that my business intuition is probably better today than what it was yesterday, and far better than what it was in 1990 when I started out. So the idea that entrepreneurship and startups are only there for the youth is inaccurate. Whatever your age, if you're good at something that is useful to communities and other people, and you believe in yourself, you'll be able to keep yourself alive until luck finds you. Luck, by the way, is when opportunity meets preparedness. So what did I learn in this chapter of my life? And perhaps you can learn something from that as well. Audacity and tenacity are the two main ingredients that will pull you through tough times. A healthy dose of both, and you can be dynamite. Life can roughly be divided into 4 areas, spanning 20 to 30 years each. The 4 areas are learning, earning, burning, and returning. Learning is kind of like school varsity. Earning is a time period when you need to build identity capital, as well as financial capital, to take you through each stage. Burning is the time in your life when you have enough capital to splash out. Don't forgo this time. Do what you think the extravagant things are for you. If you don't, you'll always regret it. And lastly, returning, which is giving back, sharing your knowledge and know-how, making a difference. Although this is what most of us go through, the trick to getting a sense of fulfillment is when you can return through all of these stages, even through the learning stage. Create jobs, teach what you know, take people with you, and share your stage. Number 3, being successful isn't always about being nice. Nice doesn't always cut it. Sometimes difficult decisions need to be made. Someone's going to be left behind, they'll feel hurt and angry. These times when you have to weigh up the greater good and your ultimate plan and purpose against the disappointment of one person or even more are times when kindness to yourself as well as the affected are often equally important. Number 4, respect everyone and everything. We don't all come from the same place. We've traveled different paths, but everyone deserves your respect until they prove to you that they don't value your respect. Walk away, irrespective of what they have to offer. Don't take yourself down to their standards. People often confuse authenticity with charisma. Authentic leaders have character and lots of it. Their nature is steeped in audacity of the courageous nature. Number 6, everyone, and I mean everyone, has something to teach you. Be acutely aware of their behaviors and actions. You'll take something away from each interaction. Either how you absolutely don't want others to experience you, or things that are endearing, smart, selfless, that you can learn from. Tuck them into your experience pocket and keep them forever. Emulate them if they're that good. Then lastly, number 7, remember, if you are not okay, your business won't be either. So as selfish as it sounds, you do come first. If you found this useful, interesting, watch the next chapter next week, where I'll give you some more insights and some further tips so that you can reach for your dreams. Please reach out if you have a query or you'd like to share your experience. I'd love to hear it. Till next week, thank you for the privilege of your time.